Hello and welcome.
If you just sat down to relax after work, do stay with us because we have a show that will banish all of your Monday depression blues. How was your weekend, Tom?
I had a pleasant couple of days. I visited Gaelic Park to watch the games yesterday. Eamonn Kelly was there compiling his report for tonight's sports section.
That report's going to be coming up later on in tonight's show. Also, we'll have Liam Moore, Maureen Keane, and Kathleen Keane, and our usual potpourri of news, events, and fun. That's all coming your way this next hour on Irish television. Now, here's some music to get us started.
We're going to play a selection of jigs now. The first one, which I will be playing, is called The Cliffs of Moher, and the second one, which Maureen will be playing, is a jig which she learned off an album by Noel Hill and Tony McMahon, and the last one is a jig composed by Johnny Harling.
You know, the wealth of talent we've had on the show week after week, I think, really illustrates how incredibly lucky we are to have such rich resources of entertainment right here in the Chicago area.
And of course, these performers spend the summer playing the various outdoor festivals and picnics, so there's always an opportunity to catch up with good music.
What better time than right now?
Okay, we're going to do a song now about Belfast. This is called Dirty Old Town. I met my love by the gasworks cove, dreamed a dream by the old canal, kissed my girl by the factory wall. Dirty old town, dirty old town. Clouds are drifting across the moon, cats are prowling on their beat. Springs a girl from the streets of night. Dirty old town, dirty old town. I heard a siren from the docks, saw a train set the night on fire. I smelt the spring on the smoky wind. Dirty old town, dirty old town. I'm going to make a good sharp axe, shining steel tempered in the fire. I'll cut you down like an old dead tree. Dirty old town, dirty old town.
Liam Moore is, of course, a fine old ballad singer. He takes the stage again now to sing a more modern song, this one about the Irish Troubles, Only Our Rivers Run Free.
I'd like to do a rebel song for you now. It's this is recorded by, made popular by Christy Moore in the early 70s. It's called Only Our Rivers. When apples still grow in November, when blossoms still bloom from each tree, when leaves are still green in December, it's then that our land will be free. I wander her hills and valleys, but still through my sorrow I see a land that has never known freedom, and only her river run free. I drink to the death of her manhood, those men who'd rather have died than to live in the cold chains of bondage, to bring back their rights where denied. So where are you now when we need you? What burns where the flame used to be? Are you gone like the snow of last winter? Sweet is the life with we're crying. How mellow the wine but we're dry. How fragrant the rose but it's dying. How gentle the wind but it's eyes. What good is in youth when it's aging? What joy are in eyes that can see when there's sorrow and sunshine and flowers, and only her river runs free, and only her river runs free.
Welcome back. Steve, I was wondering before the break if maybe Martin should join our news team.
Well, he certainly has been showing a knack for interviewing. You know, I can see it now. Irish television news, RTE, with Martin Hayes, our fearless reporter.
Meanwhile, the news team has been trying their best to get along without Martin.
Well, it's time to join Mike and Eamonn for the latest from the world of sports and current events.
Good evening and welcome to the News Desk. A weekend seminar organized by Family Solidarity in Dublin targeted poverty as the greatest enemy of the family unit. Mr. William Bennett, the U.S. Secretary of Education, was on a panel of legal and sociological experts who addressed the conference. Speaking of the role of the courts, Mr. Justice Declan Costello of the High Court said that the state constitutional duty to protect the family is a positive obligation which extends far beyond avoiding unconstitutional legislation and involves a duty on the part of the state to actively protect the family unit by appropriate welfare service and income support. He said the extreme poverty and social deprivation experienced by an increasing number of Irish families was an insidious and most dangerous enemy of the family in contemporary Ireland. Mr. Tim Moore presented a paper on taxation, social welfare, and the family, in which he claimed indefensible discrepancies had arisen since child allowance had been abolished, and families now paid income tax at an equal rate regardless of the number of dependent children. Mr. William Binkley of the Irish Law Reform Commission called for a raising of the legal marriage consent age from 16 to 18. U.S. Secretary Mr. Bennett recalled American schools in the 70s when it was held that adults should not pass on traditional American values to their children. He called it a pedagogical and moral disaster and urged Irish society to take steps to ensure that a similar belief should not take root in Ireland. The conference also criticized the government for what it calls its inertia and lack of interest in the plight of illegal aliens in America. A spokesperson for Irish Solidarity said the government should have a concrete plan and campaign to keep young people at home as the unemployment situation was forcing people to emigrate and break up families. Failing that, he said, they should at least take steps to ensure that Irish illegals were not exploited and abused. Controversy surrounded former Irish Taoiseach Jack Lynch again last week. Mr. Lynch led the Republic under a Fianna Fáil government in the early 70s. Joe Haynes, a former aide and confidant of the then British Prime Minister Harold Wilson, claims that Mr. Lynch was offered a United Ireland deal by Mr. Wilson, but that the offer was refused. Mr. Haynes has previously referred to the existence of such a deal in his book, The Politics of Power. However, in an article published by the Mirror newspaper last week, Haynes wrote extensively about the issue. He claims Prime Minister Wilson was very disturbed by his visit to the 6 counties in 1971 and decided that a British withdrawal was the only long-term solution to the problem. At a meeting in Dublin that November, Mr. Wilson allegedly proposed a deal which included full Irish unity and a complete British withdrawal. But Mr. Wilson wanted a built-in condition which required the Republic to rejoin the British Commonwealth to appease the Unionist community. The offer was made personally to Mr. Lynch, but it was very coolly received. Mr. Haynes concludes that Mr. Lynch preferred the grievance to the solution. Mr. Lynch was not available for comment on this issue. The Bishop of Down and Connor, Dr. Cathal Daly, has rejected the possibility of the reintroduction of internment. Dr. Daly said he did not see how anyone could rationally and responsibly call for internment after the calamities experience we had here in the 70s. He called it disastrous and unthinkable and said it had done much to put the IRA, as it is now known, into business. The bishop called on the RUC to show themselves to be concerned about the protection of nationalist areas from the ever-present threat of loyalist attack. Speaking in an RTE interview last Sunday, Bishop Daly said recent events would appear to indicate that there was a return to the appalling violence of the mid-70s. He said it would not take an overt effort on the part of the security forces in patrolling loyalist areas to arrest this trend. The British government has been considering a reintroduction of internment without trials in the Commons these past 2 weeks. The National Teachers Organization, the INTO, has signed an agreement with the government over cutbacks in class sizes. Last Thursday's agreement follows many months of negotiations between the union and the Department of Education and the National Parents Council. An extension of the pupil-teacher ratio was adopted by 477 votes to 193 at an INTO special conference in Dublin. This means that the maximum class size jumps to 39 pupils per one teacher. Although the original proposal was for a larger ratio, the union said the vote reflected its success in damage limitation rather than victory on the issue. Dr. John Coulahan, professor of education at Maynooth College, praised the role of the Parents' Council in the negotiations. He said the emergence of parents as a major force in Irish schools was fascinating and a welcome development. Teachers from both north and south of the border are joining together to fight new education rationalization proposals drawn up by the Northern Ireland Education Minister, Mr. Wahomey. They claim the new plans would effectively mean the end of teaching of Irish in northern schools. At a conference organized last weekend, Mr. Michael O'Martin of St. Mary's College of Education said the Irish language and culture should be recognized as a central and meaningful part of the foundation subjects in northern schools. He said the British government should adopt a change of attitude towards Irish. He said it's time that the government showed the same kind of enlightenment it has shown for the Welsh language and Scots Gaelic. Mr. O'Martin stressed that the conference was totally non-sectarian and devoted solely to the furtherance of the Irish language within the northern educational system. A new censorship watch organization, Article 19, published its first world report last week. In its international report, Information and Freedom Censorship 1988, the organization has strongly criticized Ireland's censorship record. It claims that the Irish are occupied with sexual morality and was especially critical of Section 31 of the Broadcasting Act. Section 31 prohibits RTE from broadcasting interviews or statements made by representatives of organizations which are outlawed under the Act. The report said Section 31 promotes self-censorship among journalists and deprives members of a political party, which is legal, access to the airwaves. Sinn Féin is one of the organizations outlawed by the Act. On book censorship, the report said Ireland was the only Western European country with such sweeping powers, and the organization said they plan to publish a series of interviews with banned Irish writers. Article 19 was established in 1976 by former American journalist Mr. Roderick MacArthur, a longtime opponent of government censorship. It takes its name from Article 19 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which deals with the right to freedom of opinion and expression. The report was launched in London last Monday and dedicated to Zwalki Zezulu, the imprisoned South African journalist. The Irish meat industry was shocked recently to find 6,000 tons of Irish beef was rejected by Venezuelan health authorities because the radioactivity levels were too high. Meat industry officials insist that the exports had been checked and were well within international safety standards. The Venezuelan government is reported to be angry that this country is being used as a dumping ground for products high in radioactivity. They immediately reshipped the meat cargo to Europe. A replacement consignment of frozen meat pre-checked for radioactivity levels is now on its way to Venezuela. European community spokesman said the accident at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant in Russia was probably responsible for the defective meat. Good news for Irish soccer fans this week as the national team beat Poland by 3-1 in Lansdowne Road. The game was seen as an essential build-up to the European football finals in which the Irish team is making its first ever appearance. English team manager Bobby Robson traveled to Dublin to watch the match. Ireland will play one more game, this time against Norway, before the team goes to Germany to take on England in the European Championships. That's the soccer, and indeed that's the news for tonight. This is Mike Shevlin.
The Irish American Heritage Center, located at 4626 North Knox Avenue in Chicago, was incorporated in 1976 for the purpose of establishing a permanent center to provide the facilities necessary to recognize and strengthen the proud heritage of Chicago's Irish community. Only through the generous help of area volunteers does the work at the center get accomplished. Through the donated time and efforts of the local tradesmen and craftsmen, the center is gradually transforming into a cornerstone for Chicago's Irish community. The center offers full banquet and theater facilities, plus classes such as traditional dancing and music. So enrich your life by becoming a member of the Irish American Heritage Center, located at 4626 North Knox Avenue. For more information, please call the center at 282-7035.
This is Eamonn Kelly with the Irish Sports Review. In Gaelic sports, the National Football League has finally been completed, and the various provincial championships in both hurling and football are now in full swing. In reviewing the championship activity to date, 7 football counties have made an early exit from the All-Ireland Series, while 2 hurling teams have been eliminated. In the Ulster Football Championship, Armagh eliminated Fermanagh in the first game of the championship season, and only last week Monaghan overcame a 58-year jinx by defeating Cavan in the Ulster Championship for the first time since 1930. A somewhat familiar, or should we say a similar surprise, occurred in the Leinster Championship first round, with Laois losing to Carlow for the first time in 27 years. Also in Leinster, Longford and Offaly advanced to the next round with victories over Westmeath and Wexford, respectively. In the Munster Football Championship, Waterford surprised Tipperary with a narrow win, and Limerick eliminated Clare. In hurling, Limerick, as expected, had an easy win over Kerry in the first round of the Munster Championship, while Waterford, who had a very impressive league campaign, were defeated by Clare by only 2 points. Unfortunately, because of the structure of the GAA fixtures, many of the teams eliminated early in the championship may be deprived of major competitive activity for as long as 5 months. The 1988 league campaign has finally come to an end, with Meath defeating Dublin by 8 points, 2 goals and 13 points to 11 points. It is over a month ago since Dublin and Meath played to a draw in a really great final. Last week's replay fell short of that same description. In fact, it was a disappointing final, as Meath were completely in command all through the game, that almost got out of hand with some better-to-be-forgotten unsporting antics early in the first half. During an explosive early period, Meath's Kevin Foley was sent out of the game by the referee for an off-the-ball foul on Dublin's Kieran Duff. Meath were left with a tremendous challenge, facing Dublin at home in Croke Park with only 14 players for the next 48 minutes. Meath handled the challenge with glory as they put on a tremendous display of football to defeat all the odds. In doing so, they made history for the Royal County. While winning their 5th league title, they became the first Meath team ever to win both the All-Ireland title and the league title in the same season. Ironically, their last title was at the hands of Dublin in 1967. It is not unusual for big games between neighbouring counties to develop into needle encounters. While the drawn game produced a memorable encounter between neighbours Dublin and Meath, last Sunday's, or should we say last week's replay, was disappointing because the players paid too much attention to spoiling antiques rather than playing good football. Much of the tackling was extremely dangerous, causing the referee to award 39 frees, 23 to Dublin, in the course of the game. It should be pointed out that both teams settled down to play football in the second half, and that's when Meath dominated and went on to become deserving winners. No doubt, following this latest clash between Ireland's two best football teams, and some of our Kerry fans in Chicago may dispute this, the potential meeting in this year's Leinster Championship final on July 31st, bar no big surprises, will be eagerly awaited by GAA fans at large. Ireland has become a dominant force in world soccer with 8 victories in a row against highly rated international teams. The latest against Poland at Lansdowne Road last week, winning by a score of 3-1. 18,000 fans witnessed a magnificent display by this very aggressive Irish side, so well managed by Jack Carleton. This was Ireland's final home game before meeting England in the European Championship opening game on June 12th in Stuttgart, Germany. They have one more away game, and that between themselves and Norway in Oslo on June 1st, before the beginning of the big tournament. Given Ireland's great international success with 8 victories in a row, not too many relish the job of Jack Carleton, as he is faced with trimming his roster to 20 players by the end of this month in preparation for the championship. In international rugby, Ireland ended its Tour of France with a resounding defeat at the hands of the French Barbarian team by the score of 41 points to 26. Unfortunately, Ireland had failed to expand under shock earlier in the tour against France with just a few weeks to go, and finished with a record of 1-3. And that's Eamonn Kelly saying goodbye with a review of Irish sports for this week, and see you next week.
Thanks, Eamon and Mike. I'm certainly looking forward to next week to see how their football and hurling games turn out. By the way, if you'd like to see the games live, they'll be at Gaelic Park on Chicago's South Side next Sunday.
Still to come on tonight's show, we have our feature item, the local events calendar, and a feast of music.
Right now, here's Black Velvet. You know, as I was listening to Eamonn Kelly, it occurred to me that it's a real credit to Irish sports enthusiasts here that the fans are so well behaved at the games. You know, every week we hear so many sad reports of violence among supporters of European football games.
Well, of course, Gaelic football has always been proud of its clean reputation. And you're perfectly right, Steve. There is a wonderful atmosphere at Gaelic Park.
To me, it's wonderful that people of all ages can go there on a Sunday afternoon and enjoy an exciting spectator sport in a family-like atmosphere.
Bridge will be here soon with the list of activities.
But now it's time to see what topic our feature people have been working on this week.
Hi, this is Tom O'Donnell. I've been given the most difficult of assignments. I'm here with two lovely lasses, two reigning queens from the recent Irish festivals. First, there's Mary Bridget Mcloughlin, who's the Chicago's reigning Mary from Donloe, and I'm also right, and I'm also with Larna Canoy, who is the international Rose of Tralee. Yes. Okay. Now, Mary, maybe you can tell us how did you get involved in this contest, and how was it, and your experiences?
Well, I got involved in it through my father, who is from Donloe in Ireland, and he sent me an application for this contest they're going to have, and that I should go to it, and that he'll give me the $10 if I need it, because he really wants me to get into this. And so I sent him the application. I had to send in my photograph and everything, and then the night came, and I'm very glad that I entered it now, very glad. And but basically I got into it through my father, and it's just been a wonderful experience. It was fantastic, and it was just a memory to remember forever. It was really great.
Maybe you could tell me a little bit about the program. What did you have to do? Did you have interviews?
Yes, we had interviews. We had an interview. There was 3 judges, and we each had a one-on-one interview for 5 minutes with each judge, and they asked us, our Irish descent, and what would we tell people about Chicago if we went there, and what would we do over there, and what would we be doing, if we, our careers in the future and everything. And then near the end, we had a stage presentation where we got to wear a nice gown if you wanted to, and then you talked to the MC, told them a little about yourself, and then they chose you on your poise and your appearance for the stage, gave you a couple extra points there, and then they named the Chicago Mary right while you were on stage. It was very interesting.
You certainly do have poise, and
thank
you're
you.
Very interesting. I'm sure you'll do well out there now.
Thank you, I hope so.
We have to talk with Larna Canoy, who is the reigning International Rose of Tralee.
Yes, that's right.
Now, maybe you could tell us about your experiences with the contest here, and then going to the international contest.
Okay. I was selected in June as the Chicago Rose, and I went over to Ireland in August, and I participated in a 10-day festival of Kerry, and the Rose of Tralee is the center of the attraction of the festival. And it's a lot of fun, and we get matched up with escorts. Each girl has an escort, either an Irish fellow or an English fellow, and they sort of take care of us and chaperone us and whirl us around for 10 days, and it's 10 days of fantasy and fun. After the 10 days were over and they had the selection, it was broadcast on television by Gay Byrne, I was fortunate enough to be chosen, and thus began my reign as the Rose of Tralee, International Rose of Tralee.
You have some duties as the reigning international Rose.
I had no idea I would have as many duties as I did. I've had the opportunity to travel quite a bit and make numerous appearances at different Chicago functions with various politicians, and the Taoiseach from Ireland, Brian Lenihan. I got to know him very well. It's been very exciting. As the Rose of Tralee, though, I did win some beautiful prizes. And I would say the best prize, though, was getting the opportunity to meet new friends.
Now, Mary, you haven't been to Ireland before, so
no.
This is going to be, so you ought to listen to Larna here on some of them. Maybe you can give Mary some advice as to what to expect, what should she hope for, and when she goes.
Well, when you go to Ireland, you'll be surprised at how green it is. It's true what they say, there's 40 shades of green and 40 shades of blue ice. The people are very, very warm, and what I found was a sense of community and family, very warm feeling. In the competition that you'll be in, it's important to be yourself and have fun above all.
Have fun?
Have fun.
Yeah.
Have a
I
great
hope
time.
So. I plan on
Sounds like
doing
great
that.
advice, actually.
Yeah, it does. Very good.
Now, when was the Mary from Donloe contest here in Chicago?
It was held May 8th at Gaelic
Okay.
Park.
And that's when you were selected.
Yes.
And you will be going out in July.
July 23rd to August 1st, around those dates. I'm taking a couple of days more, but that's when the festival is held and all the activities and the judging is on Saturday and Sunday. And it's about the week, that 10 days right there. It sounds like a lot of fun. It really does.
Will be. Now, you're going back to relinquish your crown.
Yes.
And before that, though, we have to talk about the, on June 18th.
On June 18th, they're holding the 1988 Chicago Rose selection. It's going to be at Gaelic Park, and the girls need to be between the ages of 18 and 24, single, and have Irish heritage. And we're looking for girls to enter now.
Well, if you want to enter, the number to call would be 445-7946 and ask for Pat Daly. I think it certainly seems to me that it's a wonderful thing to get involved in, and you're going to be then going out after in August, September.
Yes, I get to go back in August.
Now, as you relinquish the crown, is that, I know, a sad event for you, but you'll enjoy another stay in Ireland? And
Yes, they're flying me back courtesy of Board Falcha on Aer Lingus, and I'll be staying the full 10 days of the festival and performing various duties there as the reigning rose, and then I get to see the new girl crowned, and I'll be ready to move on. It's been a wonderful year and wonderful experience.
Well, now, I have to ask you, what do you do, Marion?
I am employed at the Elite Data as a key punch operator. I enter data from other companies that give us data, and I enter it.
There you go.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
And are you employed?
I've been employed with AT&T Bell Labs for 2 years, and I coordinate the technical training programs there out in Naperville. But don't call me. We don't have the phone service.
Well, it'd be a lot nicer being out in Ireland. Well, this has really been fun here with Mary and Larna, and I think anyone who's interested should get involved with these festivals, and we look forward to doing another report. This was a real enjoyable report tonight. This is Tom O'Donnell, back to you.
Good evening. I'm Bridget Looney, and I'm here this evening to share with you the upcoming events at the Irish American Heritage Centre. In addition to our regular scheduled events, we have new and exciting programs weekly. Remember, we are here to serve you. So whenever you have an occasion to have a party or a celebration, just call us here at the Centre, and we will provide you with the perfect hall at a reasonable rate. Our office hours are 9 to 4 daily, and the phone number here is 282-7035.
Well, certainly no one can complain of a lack of things to do this summer.
That's for sure. Tom, for me, the most attractive aspect of the Irish American Heritage Center is that it provides so much scope for community involvement. It's important that a heritage center should be an active institution because, of course, the whole concept of heritage is that it's an ongoing thing, growing through the generations.
That's true, Steve. The Heritage Centre is always aware that people of all ages should be involved in preserving our Irish heritage.
And of course, there are so many diverse classes and activities that there's a way for every interested party to get involved. Well, here's Liam Moore now with a Carlo song.
That all disgrace that backwards will storm their place and drove you to the firm. Grace said victory was sure, soon the fireband he'd secure until he met the Donloe. Big McHugh upon horses were not till there, people do with people there. Outfits wouldn't have a care, all in this year's Larna. Up with arrows, up with swords, on we'll go for by the Lord. Hugh McNeil has given the word, follow me up to Carlo. See the sword of any man, they flash on all the English pales, see all the children of the Gael beneath the burden banners. Rooster all the fighting stock, would you let the Saxon cock go on the Irish rock the fight and teach your manners? Horses wear not till there, people do what people there. Outfits wouldn't have a care, all in this year's Larna. Up with arrows, up with swords, on we'll go for by the Lord. You McNeil is given the word, follow me up to Carlo. Throw the screen of Saxon dawn, waits his brody dog on more, that's sending the loons to Hayden. White is sick, he's fled, out for Black Fitzwilliam's head, will send it over dripping red. Release a hand, our ladies, horses wear not till there, people do and people there. Out Fitzwilliam have a care, all in this year's Larna. Up with arrows, out with swords, on we'll go for by the Lord. Hugh McNeil has given the word, follow me up to Carlo.
A lively song there from Liam Moore. Unfortunately, that's going to wrap things up for another week. We had a fun show tonight, though, didn't we, Tom?
I certainly had a good time, and we hope you enjoyed our company as much as we enjoyed bringing you the show.
Remember, if we don't see you in the bright sunshine at Gaelic Park next Sunday, we're going to be here at 7 o'clock next Monday with the latest updates and the very best of summertime Irish music.
Tune in to Irish television next week on the same channel, 25.
Take care. Slán go fóill.
For the best in traditional Irish entertainment, join your friends at the Abbey Pub, the home of Irish television, Chicago, located at 3420 West Grace. The Abbey offers a wide variety of activities, including the best of Irish musicians from around the world on the main stage. And only a few feet away in the sessions room, you can share an informal musical evening with Christy Berry and other top players. The Abbey also features a Thursday night sing-around with Jim Duan of the Old Town School of Music, as well as a live radio broadcast every Saturday night. Featured this month on the main stage is the Abbey Folk and the Irish Brigade. So whether you're in the mood for great live entertainment or just a friendly game of darts, you can find it and more at the Abbey Pub on the corner of Grace and Elston. Open weekdays from noon till 2 a.m., Saturdays till 3 a.m. And join us every Sunday from 10 a.m. till 1:30 p.m. for a traditional Irish breakfast.